This is the sucker of the time, the little trash blonde villain who ends up in a game where every OP character is a thick babe. Our MC basically has no chance. You'd think that's terrible since my guy is constantly tormented by the maid girl, the ice princess, and that wannabe Credo chick who's technically the real protagonist. But when I say tormented, I mean in the good way and the even better way, if you catch my drift. This blonde villain, this wannabe hero trash loser, gets stepped on by mommy maid, and almost makes moves that would get the video taken down if I kept going. Worse, he already knows that in the future he'll end up locked in a dungeon, used as the personal plaything of one of these girls every single day. Honestly, I feel bad for him. I'd take his place myself, call me a real hero. Even his dad's a savage. Before leaving for war, he told him that when he gets back in a year, he'd better have put a baby inside the maid since the family needs heirs. That's what you call managing a household. With all of that pressure, our boy, who's much weaker compared to the crazy women around him, has to survive the fury of the actual main character, the absurdly OP heroine. Can he do it? Who cares? We're here to see thick babes. So, the story starts in the Campbell family's castle. The main guy suddenly wonders, wait, didn't I just die in a car crash? Or maybe a truck accident? Did I just time travel? The European-looking decorations around him confirm it, and when he sees his reflection in the mirror, he looks like his 17-year-old self, handsome, young, before turning into the broke, overweight mess he became in his old life. He thinks maybe it's just one of those sad dreams old people have when their lives turn out miserable. To confirm, he cuts himself with a knife. Blood gushes out. The pain feels too real. Then the memories hit him. The body he reincarnated into belongs to Moon Campbell, a disgraced noble cast out by his own family, stripped of all titles, turned into a beggar, warned by his father never to set foot on their land again or be executed on sight. Apparently, he committed some terrible crime. Realizing the truth, he mutters, "Damn, I transmigrated into that dumb blonde villain, the stepping stone character." He even remembers reading this story before. It was called The Strongest Woman in History. Just the title alone tells you the cliché. The female lead is abandoned by her family, sets out into the world, grows stronger, slays monsters, becomes a hero, and every man who stood in her way gets crushed. Moon Campbell is nothing more than an early nuisance, sending goons after her until she levels up and wrecks his plans. He gets kicked out, exiled, turned into a beggar, and 20 chapters later, nobody even remembers his name. Reincarnating is cool, but not when you end up as the disposable villain. Just then, a knock on the door interrupts him. A maid enters, saying the banquet clothes for tomorrow have been delivered. He tells her to leave them, but she notices blood on his hand. He brushes it off as an accident, but she kneels down, gently cleans the wound, and begs him to stop hurting himself. He blushes hard, his heart pounding, thinking he'll remember this moment forever. She twirls around and leaves, telling him to take care, while he sits there blushing and flailing like an otaku who just unlocked his first true waifu. Outside, the maid thinks it's strange. He actually said thank you. Clearly, before reincarnation, he must have been a total jerk. And so, our boy wonders to himself, how could someone born good-looking and into a noble family, blessed with a maid this cute, be stupid enough to provoke the real protagonist of the story? The main reason he was exiled in the first place is apparently because he tried to drug the third princess or something along those lines. But now that he knows how badly that path ends, he just has to avoid it completely. If he wants to keep living this cushy noble life, step one is to be careful at that banquet where all the chaos begins. Then it hits him. The thick-thighed maid already delivered his banquet outfit and said it's happening tomorrow. At that point, the guy is rolling around in bed praying to the system, the goddess, his grandpa, even some random monk, anyone who might bless him with a cheat code. The problem is, if the banquet is tomorrow, that means he's already done tons of shady stuff to the protagonist, and he just hopes she doesn't go too far in payback. Though if she steps on his face in black tights and takes her time, maybe that wouldn't be so bad. Clearly, this guy's taste is refined. Anyway, he decides his new plan. The moment he sees her, he's dropping to his knees 3 times and begging for forgiveness. Then, bam, something smacks him on the head. He spins around furious, but all he sees is a little book on the bed. His eyes light up, thinking, finally the cheat item has arrived. God hasn't given up on me. He opens it up expecting infinite knowledge and the key to changing his fate, but the pages are blank. He starts wondering if there's some kind of secret activation code, but then the damn thing bites back. His head starts bleeding, blood drops onto the pages, a dark aura rises, his vision blurs, and suddenly he's restrained. Hands, feet, even his neck. He's beaten up badly. When he opens his eyes, a creepy girl is standing over him, telling him he's been asleep for quite some time. He complains his body hurts, but she coldly replies that pain is inevitable when learning a lesson. She's clearly obsessed, saying she never wanted him to end up like this. But because he's been acting selfish and cruel, the only way he could truly belong to her was if he embraced being hated. His heart changing was unacceptable, so she was going to purify him of love and make sure they'd be together forever. Then she stabs him over and over until bam, he wakes up back in his room, home again. Turns out the protagonist might actually prefer him as a villain, but if he plays that role, his life becomes a total disaster, and if he doesn't, well, it's already a disaster. He starts wondering if that whole vision was the past, the future, or maybe a warning triggered by his blood touching the book. Looking back at it, the page now reads, "Do not alter fate." He immediately realizes that begging for forgiveness at the banquet would have led directly to that nightmare. Compared to being tied up and tortured, getting exiled and becoming a beggar suddenly doesn't sound too bad. Fired up, he decides to stop whining and use his modern knowledge to change not just his own future, but maybe even the whole country's. Of course, while saying that, he's already sitting down stuffing his face with delicious noble food, admitting that being rich is way too good to give up. At his side is Noyes Campbell, his mom, who looks like she's 18 and flirts with him like a doting beauty, while his dad Lon casually says their son is probably just excited for the banquet since it'll be one of the most important moments of his life. He plays along with a nervous, "yeah," so they don't suspect anything. Then mom goes all dramatic saying she doesn't want him to attend. Otherwise, all the noble girls will be falling over him. But dad laughs it off, reminding her that he already has Princess Celia, and if any girl dares to try something, Celia will just get jealous. Mom pouts that she doesn't even like Celia and thinks she's not cute enough to deserve her son. Meanwhile, our boy is just sitting there completely lost, wondering why these parents treat him like a prodigy when the old him was nothing but a jerk. And on top of that, who the heck is this Princess Celia anyway? That's when it clicks. Princess Celia, the third princess, the one he was supposed to drug, is exactly the walking disaster who ruins his future. In the original story, everyone loved her, but here she's got that classic tsundere setup. Cold on the outside, warm on the inside. Moon's mood tanks, realizing his parents actually seemed like decent people, and he really was exiled just because he acted like a bastard, not because they were cruel. His dad didn't want a rotten son. That only makes him more determined to flip his fate, even if it means putting himself on the line to protect his family's reputation. After all, the real reason the Campbells fall is because people believe his father ordered him to kill the princess, so if anyone's taking the blame, it's gotta be him. Problem is, the ceremony is literally tomorrow, so there's no time left to change too much. What bugs him most is he hasn't even seen the drug he's supposedly going to use. Who gives it to him? How's it supposed to go down? While he's stuck in thought, he bumps into a maid carrying tea. She panics, drops it all over herself, and immediately starts trembling like her life's over. He tries asking if she's okay, but she's already convinced she'll be fired and starving by tomorrow. That's when he realizes just how trash his old reputation really was. So he flips it, tells her not to worry, he won't punish her, even pulls her into a hug and tells her to calm down. She's left blushing, confused about what the hell the young master is doing. Honestly, same. Those hands looked suspicious. Then Anne shows up, calls him out, and he asks for the blonde maid's name. Turns out it's Noel. He orders Anne to look after her, but Anne reminds him they're already busy prepping for tomorrow and can't afford distractions. He just waves it off and says to hire more staff. Seriously, how does a mansion this huge run short on maids? Anne agrees politely, but afterward tells Noel something's off. The young master used to call everyone dirty and never let them near him, so why the sudden change? Anne adds. She's noticed it too, and maybe they should move their plan forward before he slips out of control. Back in his room, Moon's tearing through boxes looking for clues. If the drug was enough to knock out a princess mage, it has to be high-level, rare, and insanely expensive. That's when he finds a black market pass. Bingo. Must have been used to buy the potion. Cut to the city's underground commercial district at night. He tells his servants to wait outside while he sneaks deeper in, retracing the steps he remembered from the novel. Eventually, he reaches a shady door, mutters the passphrase, "Swear rats," flashes his credentials, and gets led inside. Welcome to the loopholed black market. The place sells everything. Potions, forbidden ingredients, magical beasts, even synthetic ones. Oh, and of course the cliché, slaves. One of the protagonist's future allies is actually bought here. But Moon's got bigger worries. He heads into a private room and meets a mysterious figure in a cat mask, who asks what he's after. They brag they can supply any potion imaginable. He calmly says he needs something colorless, odorless, knocks out mages for hours. He thinks to himself that he'll probably buy it, just to keep the timeline straight, but he's not planning to actually use it on the princess. Still, even I'm confused. He's trying to half follow the story, half rewrite it, and that's a dangerous game. Cat Mask chuckles, says he must be planning something kinky, even offers to throw in a few slaves for fun. He tries to leave, but they stop him, insisting they'll fetch the potion. Moon can't help thinking whoever this person is, their figure is way too perfect for someone running an underworld empire. Probably some femme fatale with a terrifying aura. And right at that moment, the door creaks open again. Someone else just walked in. Judging by the black tights, you already know what time it is. Does our boy have an eye for details like that too? The woman says she's here to buy a super strong potion that targets mages and leaves no trace behind. The seller tilts her head, confused. This is something she almost never sells, and suddenly everyone's asking for it. Moon's caught off guard. Didn't think women were into that kind of thing too. He almost feels sorry for whoever's about to get hit with that, but hey, not his problem. Then the woman tosses 2 vials onto the table, saying, "That's the one everyone's been chasing. Even though the liquid shines bright, mix it with wine, and it's invisible. Just a few drops could drop an elephant for 3 hours straight." Moon's floored by how OP it is. The masked seller shrugs and says, if he doesn't believe her, he can try it himself. Sleep on the floor for 3 hours and still pay full price. The catch? It costs a whopping 130,000 Amelia. The masked woman nearby says she doesn't have the cash, but she's got another way to pay. She pulls out a letter and the seller frowns, saying it's tough to accept something that valuable. She reads through it though, then asks if it's really true. The mysterious figure calmly tells her to verify it herself if she doubts. Mystery or not, let's be real. We all know who that probably is. The seller finally nods, saying the potion's hers. The woman thanks her, takes it, and leaves. Meanwhile, Moon casually tells the seller to just charge his card. She even slips him a bonus potion, saying if he mixes the two, the experience will be way better. He thanks her, bags it, and tries asking about the intel the other woman gave. The seller smirks and lies, claiming they're old friends, but if he wants the truth, it'll cost him 900,000 Amelia. Moon gives her the side eye and dips. No way he's falling for a scam like that. He's from the modern world. He knows a hustle when he sees one. As the door shuts, the seller chuckles, saying she hopes to see him again soon. Then she pulls off her mask and, yep, of course it's a woman. Now she knows exactly what's about to go down at the Campbell mansion, and she's already plotting who to sell the info to, or maybe both sides just to stir the pot. Definitely has that final boss merchant energy. Cut to the next night at Campbell Palace. Nobles everywhere, clueless and chatting, while our guy blends in with the crowd. A mustached gentleman approaches with his third daughter, saying it would be wonderful for her to meet young Mr. Campbell. She takes one look at him, trembles, and bolts, her dress fluttering as she yells something about her mom calling her. Bro, that was pure fear, not shyness. The dad apologizes, saying she's just nervous, and Moon waves it off with a polite smile. Then he notices no girl in the room looks remotely happy to see him. Reputation's doing its work. Still, his father Lon places a hand on his shoulder and praises him, saying he's proud of how much he's stepped up. Tonight, he won't just be a boy anymore. He'll become the man of the Campbell family. Moon nods, thanks him, and promises to do his best. Suddenly, the entrance goes quiet as someone announces the arrival of the third in line to the throne of the Leopold Empire. Blessed with the purity of snow, the ice goddess, Princess Celia, looking suspiciously like Paimon from Genshin with sparkles in her hair. Lon excuses himself to mingle, leaving Moon to handle her. Moon steps forward, calls out to the princess, and tells her it's been a while. He flatters her appearance, and she even gives him a polite thank you, but she's already side-eyeing him, thinking something feels off. Then he says she must be tired from her trip and suggests she rest for a bit. As she walks past, the nobles bow, and she's thinking, what's up with this guy? He's being way too nice. Meanwhile, Moon overhears some nobles gossiping about an illegitimate daughter who apparently fought her husband in a duel. The details are messy, but the vibe is clear. People don't like her. They whisper about divorce. And now she's trying to claim her spot as an heir. The rest of the party tells them to quit spouting nonsense. Crazy talk, right? And of course, who shows up now but the protagonist herself, the main character of this whole world, Ariel Board, the black-haired girl on the left. Honestly, she looks pretty basic, but hey, it tracks. Protagonists are usually your standard black-haired, plain-faced type. She greets Mr. Moon all casual, acting normal. He stumbles through an awkward reply, says he's doing great, and welcomes her. Out of nowhere, a big dude steps up, demanding how she can dare speak like that to the young master. She was being a bit too familiar, but Moon shuts him down, telling the guy to relax. She can talk however she wants. That's already more politeness than she deserves. Ariel's practically glitching, wondering why the jerk who used to treat her like trash suddenly knows how to pronounce her name. Her friend stares, confused, until another hand reaches out calling her Miss Leah. And yeah, Campbell nails her full name, Leah Angel. He even reaches to take her hand, but Ariel smacks it away and hisses for him to cut the scheming. She grabs him, whispering that she's only here because of his father, and warns him not to try anything shady. If he dares harm her or Leah, she'll make sure he never leaves the place alive. Then she storms off. Honestly, respect. She's putting on that righteous hero act. But let's be real. She kinda wants him to stir things up. Moon sighs, thinking this is exactly what he expected. Dealing with the protagonist is going to be tough, but he doesn't really care. Once tonight's over, she'll go her way, he'll go his, and maybe they'll never cross paths again. Not long after, he's dragged up to give a speech. Surprise! It's his birthday. The guy just turned 18. Everyone claps, showering him with empty praise. He almost spirals again, but it's time for the main event. Across the room, he spots the Paimon look-alike lounging near a mirror. He steps up, introduces himself, and apologizes if he's being too forward, then asks for the honor of a dance. Bro thinks he's royalty now. She accepts, of course, strutting in an outfit that's pure firepower, accessories practically exploding off her. Meanwhile, the nobles stiffen, glancing nervously around while the protagonist munches cake on the sidelines, watching him waltz with the third princess. She compliments his steps, and he admits he's still a beginner. She notes how much he's changed, saying now he finally acts like a noble. What throws her off is his earlier proposal. "Warrior, I shall grant you the mercy of a dance. Be grateful." He waves it away, begging her to leave that cringe in the past. The music swells, and here we go. Plot intensifies. They're dancing, she's praising, the whole routine. Then out of nowhere, he leans close behind Paimon-chan like he's calling for adventurer backup. That's when she drops it. They need a private talk. She knows their marriage is nothing but political arrangement between families. He shrugs, saying if she wants to cancel it, they can work together to make that happen. She pulls back, saying they'll discuss it later, then smirks, and suggests they head to his room right now. "Excuse me?" He's caught off guard, but it's too late. She's already dragging him along. Off to the side, two mischievous maids watch, whispering about how that poor girl just went off with the mentally challenged master. You know exactly what word they mean. They agree they need to act fast because that's Lionheart territory. Back in his room, Moon offers her a drink. She politely declines, saying she can't have a single drop. That's a problem. He has no clue how the original protagonist managed to win her over, and on top of that, he's supposed to slip her the potion. If she won't drink, how's he supposed to do it? He asks what she usually drinks. She answers coffee, but then quickly changes it to black tea. Turns out, only black tea or wine are available here. She looks puzzled, but he waves it off, saying he'll fetch it. She sits there, confused at how eager he seems about making her tea. Obviously, he's in the back spiking it with something. At first I thought it was the knockout potion, but nope. He says one drop of this vial makes someone fall in love. He even has another vial, but skips it since he's unsure of its effects. Just then, she calls for him, startling him into turning around too fast, blurting that it's almost ready. But oh boy, in that quick spin, some of the potion spills everywhere, splashing not only the floor but the other vial too. Turns out, that one was an aphrodisiac. He breathes a sigh of relief when he remembers none of these potions leave behind any magical trace, until he realizes a good chunk is wasted on the carpet. His original plan was to resell part of it for some easy cash. But yeah, that plan's gone. As he brings the tea over, someone's already peeking through the window. Yep, Paimon. While the third princess comments that Campbell's black tea looks strangely red and shiny. He improvises, saying it's a rare herb from the east, a true delicacy. She plays along but insists he taste it first. He laughs nervously, saying, "What? Paimon doesn't trust me? Moon Campbell, the most honest noble alive?" But she coolly reminds him that noble etiquette requires servants to drink first. He lifts the cup, but she snatches it from his hand, saying his looks better, they should switch. One sip later, and she's already woozy. Instead of aphrodisiac chaos, she drops the cup and collapses onto the sofa. Moon smirks, thinking it was clever to lace both cups. According to the original story, the protagonist should burst in right now and try to kill him. To make it look convincing, he lowers her skirt slightly, unbuttons her collar, strips off his own shirt, and nods. Perfect. Anyone walking in would assume the worst. Only, no one shows up. Half an hour ticks by. Strange, because in the original, Ariel storms in almost instantly. Then it clicks. In the story, a maid bumps into her, spills tea, and that's how she ends up at this room. But earlier, he told Anne to let Noel rest, which must have derailed the entire chain of events. And now, oops, the princess opens her eyes, right in the middle of his master plan. The aphrodisiac must have landed in the cup she stole from him. Suddenly, the room feels icy. Bam! A hand clamps over his face, freezing magic slamming him into the floor. He pleads for her to calm down, swearing he can explain. She just says explanations aren't necessary. His wrists are pinned, his body trembling, and she murmurs that her body feels cold while his feels warm. He begs again, but she leans in with a kiss. Moon's praying Ariel shows up right now, because if not, this act is about to turn all too real. Meanwhile, Ariel's strolling through the hall, still annoyed about the stain on her dress. She hears faint noises, but before she can react, Anne blocks her path, saying this area is restricted. Ariel frowns, but Anne offers to clean her clothes. One spell later, the dress is spotless. Ariel's impressed, thinking even the maids hear no magic. Then another maid casually mentions a pachichi cake being served, and Ariel instantly lights up, forgetting everything else. She thanks them warmly, while Anne flashes an ominous little smile behind her back. Ariel senses something off, like the faint smell of blood in the air, but shrugs it off. This is the Duke's mansion, after all. And besides, Paimon can definitely handle that spoiled brat alone. Cake greater than conspiracy. Nearby, two shady maids whisper. The gray-haired one says Ariel wasn't the target. She was actually marked by someone called Number 9, but she killed him, even though he ranked higher. Her darker-haired partner warns her to hurry, reminding her that if Campbell shows up, the mission could fail. But she smirks, saying the situation is already underway. Back inside, our boy looks like a total wreck, scratched, drained, completely out of breath. What happened? Wait, nothing actually happened. He'd just been desperately defending himself the whole time. Now Paimon rises, sword drawn, pressing the blade to his face. She coldly demands his final words. He stammers, trying to calm her down, but she just declares he'll be sent to the afterlife without saying a thing. He starts to panic. What if he doesn't even get reincarnated again? So, he blurts out that his feelings actually came from real love. He's glowing with desperation, praying the gods give him a second chance, only to nearly have his neck sliced open. She coldly tells him he's truly disgusting. He apologizes, begging her to relax, insisting they didn't even go all the way. But she snaps back that he's filthy for even calling those actions sincere. If he had actually tried to win her heart with effort, maybe she would have accepted the marriage, but instead, he chose the cheap path, drugs and deception. He tries to explain he never meant to insult her, but she cuts him off, ordering him to get on his knees. Suddenly, something on the other side of the door catches her attention. She seizes him by the neck, forcing him to command everyone outside to leave. Then she tosses him to the floor, telling him to get dressed and deal with whoever's at the door because he's going to die anyway. Poor guy's trapped between three miserable fates: be killed by Celia, hanged by the king, or thrown into some strange dungeon by a lunatic. Wait, was that the protagonist? No, it looked like someone else. Meanwhile, the Ice Queen is calmly sliding on her tights, remarking that his death is inevitable. Moon opens the door and freezes. It's a maid he's never seen before. She says they've spent time together, brought him food. Suspicious, he tells her to set it down and thanks her, but quickly realizes no new staff should have been hired. She agrees, then suddenly lunges forward, knocking him down. That's when he realizes her real target is Paimon. She leaps with twin daggers. Boom. An explosion shakes the room, but at least the Ice Queen manages to defend herself. Paimon demands to know if her brother sent the assassin. The maid replies that her orders are classified. In another chamber, golden orbs float and whisper that the princess will die tonight at Campbell Estate, signaling the end of someone's line. A white-haired girl listens, clearly aware of the plot. Back in the room, the maid smirks, admitting Paimon's mana is denser than expected. But her face changes when Paimon chants an incantation. She charges forward with an ice spear, nearly skewering the assassin's skull. The clash is brutal, and Moon mutters, "When gods fight, mortals suffer. There's literally nothing he can do." He tries the door, but it's sealed shut. Hiding behind furniture, he realizes the maid must have cast a barrier to block entry. That means someone fed her inside information. Only yesterday, new staff were suddenly introduced. This ambush was prepared in advance. He nearly gets crushed by stray blasts and prays Paimon wins, but then wonders if that's even good. If she survives, she might kill him too. Honestly, maybe it'd be better if she died here. No one would ever know. The maid, impressed, calls Paimon a genius. Paimon retorts she can already feel someone using gravitational magic to disrupt her footing, meaning there's another accomplice. She demands names or promises both of them will die. The maid only smirks, saying the rumors were true. Paimon really is a prodigy. Paimon snaps, shouting for her to reveal who's behind this if she wants a chance to live. But the maid calmly replies she's not here to kill, only to stall for time. Suddenly, the entire room quakes. Outside, the gray-haired maid declares the chamber is fully sealed. The assassin reaches into her pocket and pulls out a vial, chanting that she sacrifices the lives of 100 children to the Lord of the Melted World. Paimon's eyes widen, dark god magic, red energy surges, slamming her into the wall. If those rats arrive now, she knows she won't stand a chance. The maid confirms it. Yes, they're rats. But the true target tonight is the princess. She lunges again, but Paimon grabs the dagger from Moon's hand and blocks. The maid is shocked. The girl's bloodied, her tights shredded, ribs bruised, exhausted, but she still deflects the strike from her vital points. She's out of blood magic, though. One savage kick to the ribs sends her crashing hard into the floor. But Paimon's built different. She gets back up, and the assassin smirks, saying she'll make it painless, lunging in for the final blow. Blood sprays, only it's not hers. Our boy threw himself in front of her and tanked it. No blocking, no dodging, just raw courage. Guys, remember that scene at the table? It all clicks now. It was Anne. 1 + 1 is 2. She's even on the damn cover art. Back to the fight. Anne calls his name. Paimon demands to know why. He's on the ground spitting blood, remembering when the other maid opened the door earlier and told him he could leave. He almost ran, but deep down knew he couldn't. So he calls out to Anne, asking what she thinks she's doing. She coldly tells the useless fool to stop getting in the way. Paimon doesn't hesitate. She cuts deep across her throat. Anne collapses, and the Ice Princess declares it's over. Moon lies bleeding out, barely hanging on. Paimon kneels beside him, realizing that if he really threw himself in front of her, then these assassins weren't his doing. What rattles her most is that he did it without hesitation. If she had died, no one would have even known, but he still chose to protect her. He tells her none of that matters anymore, because just like she said, he finally acted like a man. Damn, that one hit hard. Paimon, ever cold, says his pulse shows he's got maybe 3 sentences left, so he'd better make them count. She'll deliver them to the Duke. He touches her face and apologizes, saying in the end, he truly had feelings for her. His hand drops lifeless. Man went out like a legend, and sure, we know he's not really dying, but if he had, that would have been an epic send-off. But Paimon isn't letting him off that easy. She snarls that bastard doesn't get to die after apologizing. Not after everything. She calls his name, declaring she refuses to accept that curse apology. He's going to live and pay for every sin. In the void, Moon floats in darkness, dizzy and burning up. Even after trying to make the right calls, death still came. At least this ending was his own choice, better than blindly following the game's doomed path. Then black energy coils around him, and a strange panel lights up, showing stats in arrogance, envy, greed, shamelessness, laziness. 7 deadly sins. Gluttony, -90%. Envy, 99%. Arrogance, 50%. Pages of the book flip, and the voice tells him to keep trying. He curses, asking why it didn't show before he died. Then hears a strange word. Ignow. Cut to the sewers. Ashes float as someone mutters, Campbell wasn't even the true target. Then a voice, deep and furious, asks what she thinks she did to his son. Oh hell. The Duke himself appears, Moon's father, radiating terrifying Lionheart aura. The assassin trembles as he calmly tells her she wasn't invited into his house, so she'd better explain. What did she do to his boy? Normally kind, right now he's pure beast. And somewhere, Moon must have felt glad he at least leveled up his aura before dying. Or maybe not, because suddenly we're back in the bedroom. Anne is sitting right beside him. That same Anne, the dangerous one. He wakes, she greets him gently, asking if he feels better, if he needs a doctor. He tries to get up, saying he needs the bathroom, but agony tears through his chest and he collapses into the sheets. Weak, broken, he apologizes, admitting his legs feel strange. Inside, though, he knows. He cannot drop his guard with her. She is absolutely not to be trusted. She smiles sweetly, saying his fiancé asked her to look after him, so she'll be staying close. Then she suddenly says she'll help him bathe, already reaching for his clothes. He panics, begging her to stop, insisting he just started feeling better. She relents with a chuckle, saying fine, he can keep his independence, but still picks him up and carries him to the bathroom anyway. Later, back in the room, she informs him he's been unconscious for 3 days. It was Princess Paimon herself who kept him alive with magic, stabilizing his body after the massive blood loss and oxygen deprivation. He barely survived, but survived nonetheless. Hearing this, he realizes the princess probably kept quiet about the potion incident, but Anne adds that she did mention something important. Apparently, they uncovered the entire assassination plot. His father even captured one of the attackers and tortured the truth out of them. The only problem now is that they still have to apologize to the king, since his daughter was nearly killed inside their estate. The strangest part? Don't forget to like the video and activate the cheeky little bell for the second part.